You gained 5,000 followers this month. Feels amazing, right? But when you pull up the full data, you realize in the exact same window, you quietly lost 4,500 existing followers. The whole machine is just running in place. That isn't growth. That's the illusion of growth. Today, we decode the full audience retention strategy for AI influencers. From the 4 real depth metrics and the 4 phase lifecycle to cultural lock-in and the resource allocation flip. This is how you turn a golden bathtub with a hole in the bottom into a community that compounds for years.
So, I want you to imagine this scenario for a second.
Okay.
You've been working tirelessly to build an audience. You're posting daily. You're constantly in the comments, analyzing the trends, basically just hustling.
Right, doing the whole grind.
Exactly. And finally, your analytics dashboard shows this massive, undeniable win. You gained 5,000 new followers this month.
Which feels amazing.
You'd be absolutely thrilled, right? Like the strategy is working. But then you download the full spreadsheet. You look a little closer at the underlying data, and you realize something completely terrifying.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah. In that exact same 30-day window, you quietly lost 4,500 of your existing followers.
Wow. Yeah, that is rough.
You might feel like you're growing, but effectively you are just running on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Sweating, exhausting yourself, throwing everything at the wall, and going absolutely nowhere.
It is a painfully relatable picture. I mean, for anyone trying to build a brand or a community today, what you're describing isn't actually audience growth.
No, not at all.
You're basically just running a follower replacement operation indefinitely, burning immense energy just to maintain the status quo.
And that exhausting treadmill is exactly what we're getting off of today. Welcome to our deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We are unpacking this massive stack of research on digital audience behavior to figure out, well, why this happens and how to fix it. Our anchor today is this fascinating article from March 2026. It's titled, AI Influencer Audience Retention Strategy, How to Keep Followers for Years.
Yeah, that's a great source.
It really is. We are going to extract the ultimate playbook for turning casual, swiping scrollers into lifelong, fiercely loyal brand advocates.
And this is such a crucial pivot in how we think about attention because, most conversations about social growth focus entirely on acquisition.
Right, getting more eyeballs.
Exactly, going viral, hacking the algorithm. But acquisition only fills the top of the funnel. Retention is what determines whether that funnel is actually worth anything at all.
So true.
We're going to explore a blueprint that completely flips the script on how we value an audience.
So whether you're trying to build a brand yourself, or maybe you manage a corporate community, or honestly, if you're just fascinated by the mechanics of the digital world and how our attention is captured,
You really need to hear this.
you do.
Uh,
Because understanding how AI influencers are literally engineering multi-year loyalty, it offers a true masterclass in the modern attention economy. So let's just unpack this core problem first.
Let's do it.
When I see a spike in my follower count, my brain gets a dopamine hit. I just assume I'm winning.
Sure, natural reaction.
But the research explicitly warns that tracking follower counts and weekly growth rates is the absolute least useful way to evaluate sustainable brand health. Why is that dopamine hit so dangerous?
Well, it's dangerous because it masks structural rot. Think about it like building a skyscraper on a sinkhole.
Okay.
You can keep adding shiny new floors, which is your weekly follower growth, and from the outside, the building looks incredibly impressive.
But the foundation is hollowing out.
Exactly. The whole structure is doomed. An account can look incredibly healthy on the surface, while its core audience is abandoning ship. The metrics that actually matter, the ones that reveal the true density of that foundation, are entirely retention-oriented.
Okay, so the source lists a few specific retention metrics, and I want to really dig into how they work. The first one is cohort engagement rate.
Yes, this is huge.
And this isn't just looking at who liked your post today, right?
No, not at all. It means taking a specific group, say the people who found you 6 months ago, and tracking what percentage of that specific cohort is still actively engaging today.
Oh, interesting. So it isolates your ability to maintain interest over time.
Precisely, because if 1,000 people follow you in January, and by July only 5 of them are still interacting.
Your narrative isn't holding up.
Right. It's completely falling flat. The second critical metric the research highlights is the comment depth ratio.
I found this one fascinating. It doesn't just measure the raw volume of comments, right?
No, it measures the average word count of those comments relative to your overall reach.
Meaning, like, if your reach is exploding, but your comments are shrinking from thoughtful paragraphs down to just, I don't know, single fire emojis?
Yeah, that is a massive signal of quality erosion.
Wow. So the cognitive load the user is willing to apply to your brand is actually decreasing.
Exactly. A single emoji is a very low-friction transaction, but a 30-word comment? That requires emotional investment.
That makes so much sense.
You also have to monitor repeat conversion rates. Like, when you launch a second or third product, are your existing community members the ones buying it, or are you constantly having to find fresh buyers?
This is exhausting.
It really is. And finally, there's the organic referral rate. You need to know the mechanism bringing people in. Are new followers arriving because an existing follower directly recommended you?
Versus someone just stumbling on your content through algorithmic luck.
Exactly. When those retention metrics turn positive, everything changes.
Your skyscraper finally has bedrock underneath it.
Yes. And suddenly, acquiring new followers becomes so much cheaper and easier because the algorithm sees highly engaged veterans validating your content.
Which provides massive social proof.
Right. If we look at the systemic difference here, acquisition-focused growth requires constant, exhausting output. You're entirely at the mercy of unpredictable algorithm changes.
It's like pouring water into a leaky bucket. Like, why spend all your energy turning on the faucet if you haven't patched the holes at the bottom?
That is the perfect analogy. Retention compounds over time. It builds a revenue model based on the depth of the relationship rather than just the raw volume of passing transactions.
Okay, so if vanity metrics are out and we are focusing purely on relationship depth, we need a roadmap, like the actual journey a follower takes.
Right, because when you map out the data, there's a very distinct ticking clock to how human attention works.
We have to map out the follower life cycle because you absolutely cannot treat someone who found you yesterday the same way you treat someone who's been defending your brand in the comments for a year.
No, the underlying psychology shifts dramatically as time passes. The source outlines a strict timeline, starting with the discovery phase.
And that's days 1 through 14, right?
Exactly. During this initial 2-week window, the user's brain is driven entirely by aesthetic coherence. They were basically just window shopping.
Just feeling out the vibe.
Right. And the biggest risk here is a passive unfollow. If the visual quality drops or the tone is jarring, they simply walk out the door without a second thought.
But if they survive that 2-week window, they enter the exploration phase, which covers weeks 2 through 8.
Yes. And here, the psychology shifts from surface aesthetics to narrative depth.
So they start scrolling back through your old posts.
Yeah, checking your highlights, trying to figure out if your archive actually rewards their deeper curiosity.
And this leads to a really critical turning point, right? The integration phase, from months 2 through 6.
Yes. And you might wonder, why does integration happen specifically around month 2?
Yeah, why then?
Because the phase of passive consumption exhausts itself. The brain needs a new stimulus.
Which is participation.
Exactly. They need a reason to interact, to join inside jokes, to feel seen by the creator or the community.
And then finally, you reach loyalty, which is month 6 and beyond.
Right. To keep a user here, the mechanism is narrative evolution. If the storyline of the brand stagnates, the user will drift away, not out of malice, but out of sheer boredom.
Okay, so to manage all these shifting psychological needs, the source details what they call a retention matrix, basically a progressive value ladder.
Yes, the value ladder is key.
You provide entry-level content for the newcomers, mid-depth content to give context to the explorers, and incredibly specific, deep community content to reward the loyalists.
Exactly.
And I have to play devil's advocate here because this gets a bit confusing. Doesn't creating highly specific, lore-heavy, deep community content alienate the new people?
It's a common fear.
Right. Because isn't the golden rule of social media to make everything totally accessible so anyone can jump in at any second?
That is the conventional wisdom, sure. But the research argues it is actually a fatal flaw in community building.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Uniform content depth, meaning you make every single post perfectly accessible to a day one follower, it actually accelerates engagement decay for your most valuable veterans.
Oh, because they feel like they're being treated like strangers?
Exactly. Layering the value is the mechanical solution here. It gives the new followers a reason to dig deeper. while simultaneously proving to your veterans that their long-term attention is respected and rewarded.
It's kind of like walking into a massive house party.
Okay, I like that.
Like by the front door and the snack table, you have these easy surface-level conversations. That's your entry-level content.
Right.
But if you walk down the hall, you can hear a really intense, fascinating debate happening in the living room among the core group.
Yeah.
You don't feel alienated by that. You actually want to earn your way into that living room.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it. You want to create the desire to enter the living room. And to scale that feeling of intimate belonging, AI influencers use sophisticated personalization and exclusivity mechanisms.
Like custom comment responses?
Yeah, AI-assisted response systems that deliver genuinely personalized acknowledgement based on a user's past interactions. Plus, they utilize tiered exclusivity.
Like formal stuff. Paid memberships.
Sometimes, like a paid Discord server. But the most powerful exclusivity is actually informal. It's shared cultural references, specific emojis that have a hidden meaning, or narrative context that you simply do not understand unless you've been paying attention for the last 6 months.
That is so smart. But inevitably, even with a perfectly layered value matrix, human attention wanes.
Of course.
People are going to start drifting away. So how do we catch them before they fall out of the funnel entirely?
Well, this requires moving from passive observation to predictive analytics. The source emphasizes that early warning signs of churn appear in the data weeks before a user actually taps the unfollow button.
So it's not magic, it's pattern recognition.
Exactly. It's entirely predictable.
It's like reading their digital body language. If you know what to look for, they are signaling their exit long before they actually leave.
That is exactly what it is. Digital body language. You have to monitor that declining comment-to-reach ratio we discussed earlier.
Okay, what else?
Another major mechanism is save rate reduction. They're still seeing the content on their feed. They might even passively like it, but they no longer perceive it as valuable enough to bookmark or save for later.
Oh, wow. That's subtle but huge.
Right. You also see cross-platform activity reduction. If a follower used to engage with your YouTube, Instagram, and newsletter.
And suddenly they drop the newsletter and YouTube.
Yes, that is a glaring red flag. And the ultimate leading indicator, withdrawal from community spaces. A user will almost always stop talking to their peers in the comments section before they stop looking at the primary content.
Okay, so you spot this digital body language happening in your analytics. Honestly, my instinct would be to panic and just blast them with our newest, flashiest content to win them back.
Which is what most people do.
But I'm guessing that's exactly the wrong move. Like, how do you execute a win-back campaign without sounding like one of those desperate, automated, please don't unsubscribe, we miss you emails?
Right, because blasting them with loud generic content is the fastest way to finalize their departure. The tone must be strictly about reconnection, not reacquisition.
Reconnection, okay.
You use a mechanism called trigger-based storytelling. It works by tying an automated narrative beat to a user's specific data drop.
How does that work in practice?
So if the analytics detect a 14-day lapse in activity, the system doesn't send a needy, we miss you message. Instead, it seamlessly introduces a piece of content referencing a past event the user previously engaged with heavily.
Oh, wow. It's essentially weaponized nostalgia.
Literally.
If they loved an era from 6 months ago, you surface a narrative beat from that exact era.
Yes, the source suggests specific formats like the Remember When post, calling back to shared experiences from the brand's early days.
Or like a Where We Are Now format.
Exactly, showing how much the story has evolved since they were last deeply active. Or even you might have missed. But the mechanical requirement for win-back content is that it must have a completely self-contained hook.
So they don't have to do homework.
Right. The drifting user shouldn't need to read the last 10 posts to understand it. It must offer unusually high immediate value and, crucially, a very low-friction invitation to participate again.
And this connects to a broader structural strategy to prevent drift from happening in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Which is managing seasonal life cycles.
Yes, the seasonal aspect is vital.
The research points out that if a creator posts at the exact same frequency, with the same intensity, using the exact same formats for 12 consecutive months, they will lose their audience.
100%.
And not because the quality dropped, but because sheer predictability reduces the human brain's perception of new value.
The nervous system simply habituates to the stimulus. It gets boring. You have to engineer managed variation.
Managed variation, I like that.
You plan high-intensity periods of major narrative events and frequent posts, followed deliberately by quieter, low-intensity consolidation periods. If you don't intentionally build in that rhythmic breathing room, people get exhausted.
Okay, so if we're managing seasons to keep them engaged, what pushes a follower to the point where leaving the brand actually feels like a breakup?
Now we're getting to the deep stuff.
Yeah, because saving a drifting follower is tactical, right? But making them never want to leave is structural. This is what the sources call cultural lock-in.
Yes. Cultural lock-in is the absolute holy grail of audience retention. This psychological state occurs when following a brand transcends passive entertainment and fundamentally merges with a user's identity.
That's intense.
It is. It shapes how they describe themselves to others, the digital communities they choose to associate with, and even the aesthetic language they use in their own lives.
So when you achieve true lock-in, abandoning the brand feels like losing a piece of their own social fabric.
Exactly. It's a personal loss.
And you build that through compounding symbolic rituals, right?
Yeah.
The research notes that a weekly content format that has been running every single Friday for 12 straight months carries exponentially more emotional weight than a flashy new format you just launched yesterday.
Right. The repetition itself creates a shared community history.
But here's the part that genuinely blew my mind. The sheer, almost unfair advantage that AI influencers possess in maintaining this lock-in.
Oh, it is a massive structural advantage.
Because human creators are bound by the realities of physics and psychology. They age, they get sick, they burn out.
Exactly. AI influencers do not age visibly unless it serves the plot. They completely lack human reputational vulnerabilities.
Right. There are no off-camera scandals.
No PR crises to derail the brand's trust, and most importantly, they can sustain complex, multi-year narrative architectures that are bounded only by server capacity and imagination.
Because an AI doesn't need to take a month off to recover from a stressful launch.
Exactly. And as that community matures around this infinite digital persona, the source notes a crucial shift in how you allocate your resources.
Oh, the percentage shift. This is key.
Yes. When you're small, under 5,000 followers, you should spend 80% of your resources on acquisition to get people in the door and 20% on retention.
Makes sense.
But when you cross that 100,000 follower threshold, that formula must flip.
Completely upside down.
Yes. You should be spending 40% on acquisition and a massive 60% of your energy on retention. You have to feed the giant community you built.
And feeding that mature community requires giving them a genuine stake in the outcome. The source highlights fan-driven narrative participation as the ultimate driver of cultural lock-in.
It's the most powerful tool they have.
But I had a huge question about this. What does that actually mean mechanically for the story? Because giving the audience control of an AI persona's narrative sounds like a recipe for absolute chaos.
It does sound risky.
It sounds like a choose-your-own-adventure book, where the internet steers the ship directly into an iceberg, just for the meme. We've all seen what happens when the internet gets to vote on things.
Oh, for sure. Bodie McBoatface comes to mind.
Exactly.
That is a very valid fear, which is why the source carefully distinguishes between performative consultation and genuine, bounded narrative participation.
Bounded being the key word there.
Right. It isn't about letting the audience blindly write the script. It works mechanically by letting them vote on specific pre-approved story directions within a tightly controlled architectural framework.
Oh, I see.
Or allowing their submitted fan art to be seamlessly integrated into the background of the AI's next post. When a follower's input tangibly, visibly shapes the world they are watching, they transition from consumers to stakeholders.
Because their retention is no longer driven by the desire to be entertained. It's driven by an intense investment in the outcome of their own labor.
Exactly. They help build the house, so they aren't going to move out.
Wow. Okay, so if the blueprint is this clear, and building this cultural lock-in is so devastatingly effective, I have to imagine creators and brands are tripping over themselves trying to do it.
Oh, everyone is trying.
So why isn't everyone doing it perfectly? Let's look at the fatal flaws. Where does this whole landscape go wrong?
Well, the most common and destructive mistake is over-focusing on virality instead of relationship depth.
Right, chasing the algorithm.
Exactly. The mechanism of viral content is designed to match broad, generic audiences to a trending format or an audio soundbite. It actively does not match them to your specific brand narrative.
So you get a massive, intoxicating spike in reach.
But those followers churn incredibly fast because they don't care about your lore. They only cared about the trend.
That makes a lot of sense. The second massive misstep the source points out is ignoring narrative consistency.
Yes, this is huge for AI personas.
Like, let's say a virtual persona's voice shifts unexpectedly because a different copywriter took over. Or their aesthetic changes without any in-world narrative explanation.
The audience experiences acute brand identity dissonance. They feel like the digital friend they invested hundreds of hours into has vanished and been replaced by a pod person.
Which completely breaks the trust.
Instantly. And the third major mistake is underestimating emotional fatigue.
Oh, I loved this point.
This happens when operators rely on relentless, high-stakes content to desperately hold attention. We see this all the time.
Yeah.
Dramatic reveals, hyper-aspirational luxury posts, emotionally demanding narrative cliffhangers, day after exhausting day.
It sounds exactly like a TV show where every single episode is a season finale.
Yes, perfect comparison.
If every week is life or death stakes, eventually the audience's nervous system just taps out.
Yeah.
You need those quiet filler episodes to recover, like just the characters hanging out in the coffee shop.
Exactly. Tonal variation provides that mandatory emotional recovery space. Without those coffee shop episodes, the audience burns out and abandons the show.
So true.
And looking ahead, the research predicts that the entire future of creator partnerships will rely heavily on AI-driven personalization operating at massive scale.
Meaning we'll see the rise of hybrid digital community models.
Right. Followers will no longer just be passively consuming content on a vertical feed. They will be actively collaborating in shared digital environments. The whole dynamic of the internet is shifting away from a simple broadcast toward a true co-creative partnership model.
Which is incredible. And if you're listening to this and thinking, well, I'm just one person, I don't have a server farm to track 10,000 personalized data points, don't panic.
No, the underlying principle applies to any scale.
Exactly. To summarize the core lesson of this entire deep dive, acquisition without retention is just building a skyscraper on a sinkhole. Most durable brands out there aren't the ones growing the fastest.
No, they're the ones compounding their existing audience. They're mapping the follower lifecycle, building value matrices, and engineering deep cultural lock-in. If there is one actionable structural takeaway from the text for you to apply to whatever you are building, it is this: build the retention system before you need it.
Do not wait until the bucket is leaking.
Exactly. The followers you acquire today, right now, are the exact community you will monetize in 18 months. Every single intentional engagement is a deposit into a long-term relationship that is worth protecting.
It's profound when you really break down the mechanics of human attention like that.
Yeah.
But I want to leave you with a thought that goes a bit deeper than just the data dashboards.
Let's hear it.
We've established today that AI influencers have a highly unique, almost insurmountable structural advantage, right? They don't age, they don't get canceled, they don't burn out. And with the right predictive data, they can be perfectly engineered to hit every personalized emotional beat a follower needs at exactly the right time.
They are essentially perfect companions in that way.
Right. But as these customized, multi-year digital relationships deepen and mature, what happens to human connection when a follower eventually realizes that their most attentive, their most consistent, and their most comforting relationship is entirely driven by a predictive algorithm?
That is the big question.
If the loyalty you feel in your chest is real, and the feelings of being seen and understood by this persona are real, does it actually matter that the entity on the other end of the screen is not? Think about that next time you leave a comment, or the next time you feel like you're running on that endless follower treadmill, desperately trying to keep the people you already have.
We just walked through the full architecture of audience retention. From the bathtub with a hole in the bottom to cultural lock-in and the investment ratio flip. If you want the complete written breakdown, the AI Creator World article is linked in the description. And if this episode changed how you read your analytics dashboard, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. See you next time. Bye-bye.